What does ASU do to help undocumented students? And what is Dreamzone? I spoke with a member of Dreamzone to find out more.
My name is Carlos Yañez, and I'm a student specialist with Dreamzone.
How did Dreamzone come to be?
Dreamzone started as a graduate student initiative back in 2011 into the year of 2012. So after President Obama passed the executive action for DACA, students thought it was best to start an initiative to support DACA recipients on campus, but also undocumented students without the DACA status on campus. So they made like a 3-4 hour training for faculty and staff to talk about like resources, scholarships, talk about the experience and how to best support these students, because a lot of the faculty and staff didn't know how to support them just because there had never been an initiative like that on campus. And then after the graduate students graduated, Access ASU, which is one of the ASU departments, took over Dreamzone and converted it into a ASU program. So now like it's funded by the school, it's ran by the vice provost, but it's ran by the Office of Access ASU. It has its own department, and it has its own like funds to support students and its own programs. So now it's like a full-fledged program instead of just a graduate student initiative. But that's where it started, like as a graduate student like project for their thesis.
What kind of resources does Dreamzone provide?
I think a lot of what we do is talk to faculty and staff to kind of train them how to best support undocumented students in their classrooms and in their departments. So let's say an undocumented student or like a DACA recipient goes into a class and they need support with a certain type of situation, but the professor doesn't really know how to help them. So like that's it, like you can't really do anything. But if they go through the training, like they know like their resources, they know scholarships, and they know different organizations that they can like refer them to if they need any mental health resources, if they need any healthcare resources, or if they need any legal resources, like they'll know who to point them to. And that's kind of the point of like the trainings we do for faculty and staff. But also we do student support circles. We usually have around 6 or 7 students every 2 weeks come in. Sometimes it's really heavy stuff, but sometimes it's not. So it's basically to like build a community for students so they can see other undocumented students just like they are, so they don't really feel alone on campus. But sometimes they talk about their situation. Sometimes we talk about what's going on in school, in class. We talked about the protest the other day and how it was like affecting us. But that's like one of the biggest resources we offer, that support circle, because that kind of builds the community. And then we also do offer, if someone from our support circles wants to take advantage of the mental health resources that are available at the counseling services, we help them try to get it for free and even walk them over if they need it, so they don't feel like they're alone.
How can students get involved in this organization?
So if any undocumented student, any DACA recipient, or anyone of a different type of immigration status wants to come in, you're welcome to come into like our support circles. We're having an end of year celebration, so if you would like to come to that, please email us. But yeah, that's like one of the biggest ways you can get involved. We're also doing trainings for panelists, because during our presentations, we like to show faculty and staff what a DACA recipient or what an undocumented student's story looks like, and how they think people can best support them in like their academic endeavors. So we are also doing trainings for being a panelist, and that's how you can get involved as well if you would like to like talk about your story and talk about how you think are the best ways to support students such as yourself. But those are like kind of the 2 ways to get involved with the organization.
What does the training look like?
So now it used to be 3 hours long, and then we realized that was a long time to make people sit through, because we were going through a lot of policy, we were going through a lot of laws and how that affects students. So we cut it down to about 1.5 hours, which is still kind of lengthy. But the training has the law and policy. We talk about DACA, obviously. We talk about the new tuition bills. We talk about the Arizona Supreme Court decisions, the rescission of DACA, like talking about how different policy and law in the United States has affected undocumented students negatively and how to best support them pass those laws. But we also talk about like different statistics, such as there's like 65,000 undocumented students that graduate from U.S. high schools every year. But only 5 to 10% of them actually go to college, to kind of establish the need of having programs like this, because there are a lot of students who can't afford higher education, and a lot of students who can't meet the stressors of college on top of their immigration status. So information such as that, we do student narratives. So like I was saying, like we need student panelists. I usually do the student narrative because we don't really have a lot of panelists right now because I am a DACA recipient. So I talk about like my story. And then we also go through like the financial resources we have, the legal resources we have, the healthcare resources, and just things to help students. And then finally, we go through how other people in the audience can support undocumented students. So one of the biggest ways we've talked about is in your syllabus mentioning immigration statuses and saying like, if your family is going through any type of difficulty in immigration or your immigration status, feel free to talk to me and we can work something out with the class. If you have to submit a late assignment because something happened, feel free to like communicate and tell me if you ever need anything. Because if it's not in the syllabus, then maybe students don't want to disclose that, because sometimes in the syllabus it says if there's any hardships, but it doesn't mention like immigration, you know? So that's one of the biggest ways we've seen like professors gear their classes toward undocumented students, like opening up that conversation. And then generally just saying, I'm here for undocumented students, I'm here for DACA recipients when they start their classes. So we're kind of trying to change that mindset that even though you have to put a little more effort into supporting the students, it is still your job. You should support you should support all students as best you can.
How can you get into contact with Dreamzone?
Yeah, well, we're doing the panelist training. So our email is dreamzone@asu.edu. And if you would like to get involved at all, if you would like to come into our support circles or start with like any of our programs, or if you ever need anything, we also do office hours Thursdays and Fridays from 12 to 4. And we always help students with their scholarship applications, with their applications to ASU or any other institution. And we also help with like the DACA renewals. If you need help paying for that, we have resources to help pay for your DACA renewal as well. But our office hours are open for anyone to come in to talk about anything about immigration or anything about your schooling, or if you need help with anything, we'll connect you.